I want to give some examples from other parts of India also to show that this determination to preserve temples and deities was an all India phenomenon. Now, I want to take the example from Gujarat of the Somnath temple, because everybody knows about the Somnath temple, even though they may not be aware of the detailed history of the Somnath temple. Now, Mahmud Ghaznavi's attack on the Somnath temple in 1026 is very well recorded by Persian historians. They say that he uprooted the ling and took it to Ghazni. Soon after Mahmud Ghaznavi left Gujarat, the temple was rebuilt by Bhim Dev, and subsequently his grandson, the great Jaisimha Siddharaj, also added a structure to this temple. So, 1026 Mahmud Ghaznavi destroys the Somnath temple. Within a few years of his leaving the state of Gujarat, it is rebuilt by a ruler, and it is his grandson, the great Jaisimha Siddharaj, adds to that temple. Now, Siddharaj was succeeded by Kumarpal. Kumarpal was a very wise king, very sagacious. He had a Jain minister whose name was Hemchandra. So, Kumarpal goes with Hemchandra to Somnath. There, the priest of that temple requests Kumarpal that the temple is in ruins. Can I please request you to build a new shrine for this deity? So, Kumarpal builds a new shrine for the deity, and it is said that the temple that he built was bigger than the Rudra Mahalaya, the famous Rudra Mahalaya temple in Gujarat, which was built by Jaisimha Siddharaj. It was such a grand temple that he built. Now, one interesting story that is connected with the Somnath temple is that within 200 years of the attack on Somnath, there is an Arab trader, Nuruddin Firoz. He comes to Somnath, and the local ruler helps him to buy land so that he can build a masjid. So, that means that spirit of Hinduism, it remained alive in spite of such adverse circumstances. That Somnath, the local ruler there helps an Arab trader to purchase land and to build a masjid over there. Now, that what is very interesting about this masjid, that there is an inscription that Nuruddin Firoz got embedded on the walls of this masjid. That inscription is in Gujarati, I think, and in Arabic. And that inscription says that the surplus that comes from this masjid should go to Mecca and Medina for the people there. Now, D.C. Sircar, the famous epigraphist, he translated this inscription, and he said that it is very surprising that Nuruddin Firoz did not think of giving the surplus to the area, people of the area where the temple was built, where the mosque was built, and thought of sending the surplus to Mecca and Medina. So, this is also instructive when we discuss the nature of iconoclasm and what was the Hindu response. These are things that we should keep in mind, that the local ruler is helping in the construction of a mosque in Somnath, and that person who is building the mosque asks that the surplus money of this mosque be sent periodically to Mecca and Medina. There are two psychologies, two perspectives, two ideologies at work over here, which we should analyze. In any case, to move on, the Somnath temple was attacked by Alauddin Khalji, and it was brutal, it was very severely attacked. But what is interesting is that some centuries after Alauddin's attack, there is a ruler of a small Rajput kingdom of Jalore. A history is written by the court poet of Jalore, in which he says that the ruler of my kingdom at the time of Alauddin's attack fought so valiantly and was able to rescue the ling from the Khalji forces and reconsecrate it. Whether it happened or not is not an issue, but a local ruler is identifying himself with Somnath and saying that I had the courage and the capacity to defeat the Sultanate ruler and rescue the ling. So, these are things that also must figure in popular discourse on the subject. Now, the temple was rebuilt sometimes between 1325 and 1351 and the ling re-established. Now, in 1413, Sultan Ahmad Shah, the ruler of Gujarat, desecrated the temple, and his grandson attacked Somnath and removed the ling and converted the mosque, the temple, into a mosque. But K. M. Munshi, the famous historian of Gujarat, who wrote Jai Somnath, he says that though the temple was converted into a mosque, it did not function as a mosque for very long, because it was retaken and converted into a temple again. So, after that, for the next 150 to 200 years, the temple remains a temple, and we do not have any information on what happens over there. Perhaps it exists peacefully. But in 1669, Aurangzeb orders the destruction of temples, and in 1701, the temple of Somnath is converted into a mosque. After that, so it is converted into a mosque in 1701. So, we have traced the history of Somnath from 1027, when it is first attacked by Mahmud Ghaznavi, to 1701, when it is finally converted into a mosque by Aurangzeb. Then something very interesting happens 70 years later, that is in 1783. What happens in 1783? There is this Maratha queen, Ahilya Bai Holkar, who has done so much for the preservation of Indian culture, Indian civilization. And in 1783, she builds a temple at Somnath. What is interesting about that temple? By 1783, the Mughal Empire was in deep decline, and the colonial forces had entered India, the East India companies or various companies. The Marathas had become an important power. But in 1783, when she builds the Somnath temple, it is surprising that she does not build the Garbhagriha on the level of the temple. So, the Garbhagriha is built under the temple, which means that even in 1783, the fear of iconoclasm was so great that she takes the precaution that the ling is placed underground so that it cannot be suddenly attacked. So, that is an important story from Gujarat.